Hey guys, and welcome to an exciting episode of The Hungry Pelican. I'm coming to you from my studio office here in my house, and if you'll notice behind me, there are no more books on the shelves, are there? And that's because, drum roll, here's the big news. We're moving! Yay! So Angela and I have a nice new van that we're calling Van Beans. And we're going to be moving in there in the middle of August and going from show to show to show and living on the road. So packing everything up and moving on. So I'll give you updates on the road when that comes, but I did want to explain to you at least why my bookshelves are completely naked. And another big news, and this one I'm really excited about, my underwater camera gear came, and I'll have to let me see if I can show you a picture of it. Yeah, okay, so there it is, and you can see it's a Nauticam housing. If you're into underwater photography, it's Nauticam housing, and a couple of strobes there, and the big round things there are little floats there to help kind of maintain neutral buoyancy while it's underwater. So, and yes, I have been diving with it 2 times. The first trip, oh my gosh, was a great trip. I loved the dive. I loved the wreck that we went out and dove the hide, and I came back just so excited to look at all my brand new underwater pictures, and every single one of them was out of focus, just completely out of focus. So I took some advice that I have given many of folks in art shows who come up to me and talk about their photography hobbies and habits, and I allowed myself to suck, So whenever you start something new, and if you expect yourself to be perfect at it, you're only going to be disappointed. So for the next month or so, I'm allowing myself to suck. I'm going to show you some pictures here of another dive I've done, and these are my best efforts. And there's not some of them I kind of like, I really do, but some of them are not so good. Whether it's composition or the coloring or what have you. But let's go ahead and take a look at some. Let's jump in right now. And this is what you call a file fish. So this is at a place called, this particular dive is the Pocahontas, which is right here off of Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. About 15, 16 miles out, I think, and about 60 feet deep, give or take a foot or two here. And so this picture here is completely unedited. This is exactly how it came out of the camera. I was shooting at f8, probably around a shutter speed of around 100, and ISO, I think I kind of left around 400, but I think I played with that from shot to shot. But I left this one unedited so you could see what it looks like underwater. And this is about what it looks like underwater to the naked eye. And you'll notice a complete absence of certain colors like red, orange, yellow. You're just not going to see that very many of them. And that is because the more water that light has to go through, the more you're going to start to lose colors until all you're left with is blue. And then once you go even deeper, light's just not going to penetrate. So it's just black. It's just the absence of color. And so it does open up a good philosophical question as to what color something is, So at this depth, is this the is this the natural color? I'm going to say no, because if you look at, and I'll show you an example later, if you look at, I mean, this is a sunken boat, a tugboat, and it's made of steel, and guess what? Steel rusts. And, well, what color is steel when it rusts? It's red, right? But you won't see it red unless you do some serious color correction. So these and this is what one of the things that makes underwater photography just so difficult. Not only do you have to work on your composition in an underwater environment, but you also have to figure out in post how to color correct for the underwater. So we'll see how we do. So here's the file fish straight out of camera, and here he is just color corrected. Same photograph. I am not 100% pleased with it. I think there's just too much red in it. If you look back on the boat, there's I'm just not 100% with this guy. So, but we'll keep going. Here's one I found. That's a grouper hiding in that guy. And something you'll notice here that I am very much still trying to learn is that unlike being on land, when you photograph, it's really easy to get your horizon straight, because if you just pay attention to it, you're standing on the ground, and it's just not hard to make your horizon level. But when you're floating, it's a little bit more difficult. So here you can see that it is truly just not level. Here we have this. This I believe is the Pocahontas still, kind of straight on, and you can see, having color corrected it, it's there's red on the lower, and then blue, and then white, and up at the top. And that's, I think that would be very different if I were in deeper water, but and we were diving at midday, so that is what it is. So I'm just not terribly pleased with the coloring on that, but at this point anyway, I don't know how to fix it. One thing I did learn pretty quickly, however, is when the color is just not working on the photograph, but you still kind of like the picture, swap it into black and white. And here you can see a little spade fish. That's a spade fish swimming by there. And you can, obviously, I'm shooting with a Nikkor 8mm to 15mm fisheye lens, and I kept it at 15mm the whole time. And you can see some of the fisheye effect there on the boat, how it's kind of curving outward. Here's just a picture of how the boat is slowly turning itself into an artificial reef. I said it should be red because it's made of steel and it's rusting, and you can see there that it doesn't seem to be red at all. That's because the coral is growing on top of it, and coral is the bleached white coral that you get in shops and stuff is only the result of it, well, being bleached, and also a result of it being dead. So this is more what another okay shot. And here you can see I played with the coloring a good bit, and I think I'm kind of pleased with it, but I think the blues are a little too much, but the coral, there should be a little bit more red in the coral, I believe, but still working on that. I do like about this shot anyway. I love that the ship itself turns into a leading line, just shooting off there towards infinity. And the diver there, that's my dive buddy. We'll see another picture of her later. It kind of, it certainly doesn't balance the scene, but it gives it that little something else. And I do like that and I do like the use of negative space there. This one, I might turn this one into a print. We'll just have to see about that. So this is not a great photograph, and I didn't really spend too much time on it. But I just wanted to include this to just show you what the wreck looks like. And if you look inside of the wreck, it's clearly a whole lot darker, but you can see a whole lot of fish congregate in the shadows just because I guess just because it's cooler, and also it's hard for a big fish to get in there and eat you, I guess. So here we're at the bow of the ship. I believe this is the shipwreck called the Stone Tug, which is right near the Pocahontas, same place, essentially. And I really like the way the fish are just racing around the curvature of the bow. And here's another one, and you can see in the top left there, the hull of the ship there is, in fact, that kind of rusty red. And I like the effect that the fisheye lens gives it, stretching out those fish longer than it. I mean, it almost looks like little torpedoes through the water or something like that. And here's kind of a pulled back image of the same spot where all the fish have congregated. There are a lot of little fish down there. Here's the picture that I'm almost pleased with. It's I can't tell if that's the bow or the stern of the ship. It's one of them. I would guess that that's the bow, but I'm not sure. And I'm not even sure if that's the Pocahontas or if that's the Stone Tug. I like this picture, except I wish I was a little further back when I took it, because I feel like the bottom of the picture has just been cut off. So that one could have been a good photo. I'm still not happy with the coloring on it, and there's a lot of particulate matter in it that's given the kind of a hazy look, but that could have been a good one. That could have been a real good one. Here's one, a color shot, a black and white shot, just of the boat. I thought it was kind of interesting. You can see the little white specks all over in this shot. That's what's called backscatter, and it's not a good thing. We'll just put it at that. This shot I just put in to kind of show you a little bit about what a wreck is like, just a opening on the ship, and you can see, I think I got the colors pretty close to what they probably actually are if this were not shooting through a bunch of water. I was using a couple of strobes, and that's what's allowing me to get some of these colors. So this little guy here, I kind of played, that's a French angelfish on the left. I'm not certain what the guy is on the right. But I played with this image. And then I just focused on the French angel, and I was trying to get the coloring just right, and I just couldn't seem to do it. So this is technically what's called a color splash. And it's where I put the subject in color and remove all the color from everything else. You can see on the chain there as it's ascending, there's a little bit of blue in there, but believe it or not, I really worked on that to get that out of there, but I couldn't seem to remove it. This is I think I'll make this a print. I think somebody might enjoy it. I mean, it's a gorgeous fish. It's absolutely gorgeous. So here are a couple shots. Again, I'm learning how to hold the camera level in post or in underwater. Again, the buoyancy. I'm shooting this image pretty much horizontal, so I am floating. I'm floating a couple of feet off the ground, maybe 5 feet off the ground, and you can see that the horizon is not level. I gotta let my dog in. Okay, I'm back. Augie's in the office with me. So I took this picture and straightened it up a little bit there, which of course means you've got to crop it a little bit. And I do like the leading lines of the boards and the metal sheets there below it. But because I had to crop it and come in, I lost a good bit of that. So, and here's just a little bit closer shot of it. Augie, knock it off. Yeah. I do think it's interesting how the fish just hang around the structure. I guess, again, that's for protection. And it's also probably a little bit of shade there. And now you can see. Augie dog. Augie. He wants to come in, then he wants to go out. So here's a shot that I really liked. I wanted it in color, but no matter what I did with it, I just could not get the coloring right. Solution, make it black and white. But here you can see the front part of the ship. I believe this is the Pocahontas. And just right up top there, you can see a group of bait fish swimming, and there's an amberjack just off there in the distance. I like that shot, but really wanted it to be in color. Now, this may be my... Knock it off. You asked to be in here, Oggs. Yep, that's right. Okay, so here is a shot that I really liked. I really wanted to keep this one, maybe even make it a big print, but I love the fish gathering around this structure here to the left, and I love how the anchor chain just curves around it, kind of. It just feels so natural there, the way it's curving around. And then on the right side, the negative space just kind of helps balance it out. And the diver there, that's a little bit interesting. But I'm too close to it. I feel like the bottom, again, has just been cut out of it. So. And this one I'm going to keep working on because I believe this one has a lot of potential here. This, of course, I couldn't get the coloring right, so when in doubt, go black and white. I want to move the diver just a little bit to the right so the bubbles don't feel like they are just escaping off frame. And I think that little correction there may make this work. It's still a bit cloudy and murky, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that just yet. So this is a shot I just included to show you. I think this was pretty cool. You got the rusty red underneath, and then you have all these fish hiding underneath the structure. This is a result of me sticking my head and camera inside of a hole. Probably not a good idea, but I did it anyway. I think it's just kind of neat. Here's another shot that I am going to continue to work on. I like everything about this shot except the diver's position. I love how the fish kind of make a halo over the sunken boat and almost a complete circle around them. And then the bubbles on the left side are from a diver who's down deeper, who's out of the frame. But I like the way even the bubbles kind of participate in the halo there that looks around it. Going to play around with it. I think that could be a good shot. But let's keep going. Yeah, so here's a shot that I've included just to show you. First, the fish there, kind of the dead center, the larger fish, I suppose. That's a ringtail. A lot of people catch those if they ever go deep sea fishing, bottom fishing. Here you can see the strobes really kind of show you just how red the side of the ship can be. I don't think I've got the colors exactly right there. That's a little too red for my taste. And here's a kind of a shot that's very similar to the other one I was talking about before. Again, this would be a great shot if the bottom of that structure was not cut out. But again, I love the way the chain is wrapping around that, and I love how the fish make kind of just a perfect descent, almost kind of like they're following down the divers from the surface. I've included this picture just to show you what it can be like underwater sometimes. This is just a huge school of bait fish, and they kind of float around down there, kind of like a cloud. It looks like a snowstorm almost. And of course, here's another group of bait fish, and you get caught up with them and just swim right through them. Here's a picture that I like, but I really wish there was only like one diver on the right side of the picture, but instead I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divers over there, and it just makes it too busy. So if you see this picture later with only one diver in it, that's because I somehow figured out how to get rid of all the others. I know you can go in Photoshop and do it, but we'll see. But I love the texture and the detail of the ship there. Yeah. I just included this picture because I just thought it was neat. I don't like the diver in the back of it. That's a little bit too distracting, but otherwise I think it's a pretty cool shot. And this one I just included because of, again, just because I like it. It's kind of a neat fish. So here's an issue with coloring again. You can see the red on the bottom just seems, it just feels artificial. The blue is too much on the ship. I wanted the ship to, but the ship I guess is far enough away that the blue is kind of taking my attention away from the detail of the broken vessel. And also you can see behind the ship is a whole bunch of bubbles coming up. And I know what that is. There's another diver down there, but it looks like it just creates this funky shade of blue just above the ship. So I tinkered around with it and came up with this guy. I think I solved the red at the bottom, but the top portion of it feels bleached out, and the colors of the diver's bubbles in the background has been fixed, but I don't know if that makes it any better. It's still just too distracting. So when in doubt, turn it black and white. And I think that's an interesting shot. I think that's, yeah. Here's a picture of my diving partner. She was a great diving partner. I like this shot here because of the perspective of the ship just coming straight out of the left corner. And I love all the fish just congregated around it. I'm not certain what fish those are. I see one ringtail right in the middle. But I also like, if you look to the right, there's, if the empty space really brings out the left side of the ship. This is a shot that I really liked. But again, like so many of the others, there's just this one thing that's off with it, and that is, can you guess? The structure is cut off at the bottom. You know, your mind has to artificially fill in that corner there of the bow of the ship. I guess that's the bow. Could be the stern. I don't know, but and that just makes it not acceptable. But I love the fish congregated on top of it. I love the fact that the fish kind of make for themselves the same curvature that you see around the bow. I do not like the divers there in the background. I find them distracting, but there's no way to get them out without messing this up. But and I wouldn't bother anyway, because I'm never going to be satisfied with the bottom of the picture. But you know, it is what it is. And this is kind of the same place. I like this shot with, but again, you know, I have, composition wise, I kind of screwed it up because the bottom of the boat is just cut out, and people will see that, and they're still going to say that's a great shot, whatever. But there's going to be something about it that they're not going to be able to articulate what it is, but that is what it is. It's off, you know. I would prefer to, if I were going to do anything with this shot, I would not like the divers in it, but how you remove that gets just too complicated. And here's a shot that I just enjoyed. I have too much orange in this shot. I don't feel like that it's the actual true color of that little fish there in the center. But and you can see whenever my strobe's fired, I always had this problem with the reds being kind of overblown. So again, I'm learning the strobes, learning what powers to use with the strobes. That's the hardest. What position to put the strobes in, that's even harder. So I'm really excited about all this stuff that I get to learn. But again, what I do like about this shot compositionally is the curvature of the structure and the curvature of the fish, and how they just match so well. And we'll just leave it here with this last picture. These are all in no particular order, and this one is no better or no worse than any of the other ones, but here it is. You can see the vessel with the fish. I love it. I think the colors are pretty good. The top on the left is a little blown out, which could be fixed, but again, I feel like compositionally I really kind of blew it there. This on the left side, there's this kind of wall or structure here that's going off, and my mind wants to see it. And so it's distracting. So I could either come around a little bit more and totally cut that side out, if possible, or come around to the other way and included it so the mind would be satisfied. You can see there's a diver behind the boat just a little bit, and those are some of the bubbles coming out. Well, guys, again, I'm just learning. So, take it from me, give yourself permission to suck. It is okay to suck. And that's the only way you're going to learn. It's by trial and error, and in so many ways. And this is what's got me so excited, is that this is almost like starting over. For me, I do know the rules of composition pretty well, or at least I'm pretty pleased with how I know them. I know there's a lot more to learn, but learning to compose while simultaneously being underwater is going to be a challenge, because you're never still. You're always floating a little bit up or a little bit down, and it just makes for a wonderful, exciting challenge. I did find, surprisingly so, that swimming with this great old big underwater contraption was not near as difficult as I thought. So, hey, I'm going back out this coming Friday. I'm going back out twice next week, and I'll show you some more shots in. All right, take care, guys.